you want to come and have a look around?
All right, well, hello everyone. This is Jack. I'm here with Jim. We've got another special collector with us right now. Look at that collection behind this gentleman. Sir, if you can please take a moment and introduce yourself. Who are you?
Hi, I'm Steve. I'm from Australia.
Woohoo!
I have been a long-term habitual addict to Star Wars right from the beginning.
Fantastic. Nice to meet you, Steve.
G'day, mate. How you doing?
Good. So tell us just a little bit about your collection in general. Action figures, vehicles, helmets, lightsabers. You into comics or Legos or anything like that?
I'd say I've got a little bit of everything. But I was lucky enough to kind of be in the right place at the right time when I was young. I still have my first Star Wars action figure that my grandma gave me back in the day. And that was one of the original 12 backs as well, which is the only 12 back that I've got. But I know it's that R2-D2 because it has a specific set of scratches on it that is like, yeah, I've been playing this through my entire childhood. I've still got it. I've got it in a frame now, so I'll never lose it. But yeah, we didn't have a lot when we were growing up. Grew up on a farm, so just popping down the shops was near next to impossible to go and get stuff. And I was fortunate enough that the local newsagent in the nearest town occasionally got in a few Star Wars figures, mostly for me, I think, because I was the only one buying them. But get my pocket money, go and buy a Star Wars figure, get my pocket money, Star Wars figure. Never got any vehicles or anything at the time. But there was a period when I just started university and the very, very last selection of figures were being released, the last Return of the Jedi figures. And I was like, yeah, no, I'm done. I think I don't need to collect these anymore. I hadn't gotten rid of what I had, but, it was like, it's time to move on. But then I met somebody who was still fanatically collecting. She gave me a stripped down 12-inch Boba Fett, and that thing was just blew my mind. And it was like, I don't think I'm finished. I think we'll keep collecting. So it was like that great opportunity to go and scrounge up the last few figures that were available. At that point, things had kind of worn down a bit in the Star Wars collecting world with kids. So we'd go to Trash and Treasures, car boot sales, that sort of thing. $20 in a big bag, and we would walk out of there with so much product. Like 90% of my collection comes from that period. It was that brief moment before the dealers realized that this stuff was desirable and before they started getting their hooks into it. So we'd go, there'd be some kid with, like his whole Star Wars collection spread out on a table and all at, pretty reasonable prices. Sometimes there were boxes and stuff, and that was really awesome. And he saw you just swoop up the whole lot and it might be, $20-$30 for the whole thing. It was the best way to collect, and we've got stuff that we'll never be able to afford to get now.
Wow, fantastic.
Prices now are insane.
And so I've kind of noticed there's a variety of different sizes, so you're not contained to one particular size or scale back there.
Behind me is a 3 3/4-inch display unit of I threw together a display system out of an old series of rocky outcrops and stuff that I'd made for the preview nights of The Hobbit and Return of the King and stuff, because I used to do a lot of film promotion work and so forth. And then when I was using them for the last time, I noticed, like, you know what? If I stick a really short pole between this plug and this plug, flip the other one upside down, I have an instant display. I don't have to build anything. And so once I finally got the thing going, it took me about a week to work out exactly how big to make it and how it would fit into the space. And it's served well. It's been a lot of fun setting it all up, making little scenes and having all the unique little sections all put together. So that's dedicated to 3 3/4-inch. I've got other stuff elsewhere around the other room. But I knew at some stage they would bring out those 6-inch ones. and there's like, "Eesh, mongrels," you know. We've dedicated to 3 3/4, and now we've got like a whole new range. So I kind of just pick and choose the ones that really appeal to me. And ultimately, it's usually the female figures and droids and aliens, and Jedi Knights and bounty hunters and Mandalorians.
Very good.
Maybe Yoda.
Let me ask you this. Why Star Wars? It sounds like that was your first passion when you were a kid, buying those action figures at the place that only had the action figures for you. Why did you choose Star Wars as the one to start collecting?
All right, so I'm about 10 years old, and I mean, I had a love for science fiction. I was obsessed with Thunderbirds. I mean, absolutely obsessed. They used to play Thunderbirds every morning on Australian television at 7
Is
o'clock.
that the string puppets?
The ones with the string puppets and the big ships, the international rescue would fly down and they'd put the pod down and they'd rescue people and they'd bounce around all over the place. Loved it to death. Watched it endlessly. And of course, there was a few sci-fi things on TV, but very little. Space 1999, Doctor Who, Blake 7. It was thin on the ground. And then Star Wars came out, and my dad took me to go and see it one day. And we did a special trip to the city, and that was it. I'm done. I'm just like, something happened to my brain. Oddly enough, I don't recall seeing the film for the first time. I remember the experience of going to see the film, but the actual seeing of it was kind of washed away in just this euphoria of just delight and excitement and passion. And he took me and my brother to see it a second time, probably about a month later. And again, he bought me the program for it, because I treasured that thing like it was like gold. And I don't remember seeing it again. You know, it's like, but they were kind enough at primary school to have taped the making of Star Wars off TV. And every lunchtime, I would just be watching the making of Star Wars, making of Star Wars, making of Star Wars. So it was like I'd forgotten the movie because I had 2 opportunities to see it. So it wasn't until I was a little bit older and I was actually able to go to the city by myself, and they were re-releasing Star Wars. And I'm not sure at what point this happened, but that was the time I remember seeing it and absolutely going berserk over how, like, I cannot believe this film is incredible. I watched it 3 times in a row that day before I had to catch the bus home. And if I missed that bus, that was the only bus to get back home. It was just such a, because I'm being obsessed with it, but there's nowhere to watch it. You know, we just couldn't see it, but it trickled into the drive-ins. The local town hall ended up playing it from time to time. So you started getting those views under your belt, and that was fantastic. And then when I started uni, we started a little Star Wars club in Adelaide, and we did a triple billing. This was the last times we were actually able to do an actual original trilogy triple billing before they basically tore it out of the cycle of films that you could offer. And it was the most incredible day. I set all my toys up in the foyer, like a big Hoth display with a homemade AT-AT, because I could not afford a real one. And we had little white beanbag balls as the thing, and they were everywhere. The whole foyer of the cinema was just full of these beanbag balls. They got everywhere. But it was the most amazing day. I remember running up to the balcony as the film was finishing off Return of the Jedi, and we were throwing streamers over there and just going nuts. It was such a great experience. Wow, yeah, Star Wars, it fucking rocks.
That's an amazing story to hear, Steve, especially for the first time coming from you. I think we all have our different passions for Star Wars, but that's just incredible to not just kind of remember the experience of Star Wars, not even the movie of Star Wars until your 3rd time seeing it. Thank you so much for sharing that. I understand the collection now.
But at the same time in that history, there was nothing to fight with it. I mean, Star Wars was by itself. I mean, okay, Close Encounters kind of snuck in there, and then we got a little bit of Star Trek: The Motion Picture and Alien, and you know, there were these films coming out, but it took forever to see them. And you know, and as for, you know, Battlestar and Buck Rogers on TV, you know, it was just nothing.
Aliens
like,
and Halloween came out at about that same time.
Yeah, it was just the craziest time. Of course, everybody with science fiction films, and we just saw this amazing plethora of really, really terrible films coming out. Still had Star Wars.
And so your motivation for collecting, is it an investment? Is it looks? Is it memorabilia?
Look, when I go and see a movie or watch a TV show or something, and I know I'm enjoying it, if the first thing I'm thinking is, oh, I want one of those. I want that figure. I want that ship. I want that gun. That's kind of like the litmus test for, you know, just how desirable this show is or whatever. Ultimately, I collect for the joy. I'm horrified at what some of the prices things are going for right now. That's insane. Because, you know, I don't keep any of my stuff in their boxes. Okay, granted, I've got a few vintage pieces that have stayed in their boxes, because if I open them up now, I'm the biggest dickhead in the universe. So, you know, like I've looked after everything. I've got a lot of stuff from the Jedi line that sort of came out and bought them all nice and sealed and everything. My favorite Star Wars toy is the skiff, and I've still got the original Power of the Force skiff box and everything, all the stickers, the whole thing. It's just that toy is, it was a new level. It was just so delicate and untoy-like, you know, so easy to break, and it's just like, wow, this thing is just so nice. It's just like a flower.
Sure. It's almost like a model from the movie. I know exactly what
you're absolutely, yeah. But you can still play with it.
Right.
A lot of the stuff you've mentioned is out of the box, so I'm assuming you're not a person who is inspired by various graded levels.
Yeah, I mean, I like my figures to be in good condition and stuff, you know, but I don't see the point of grading anything, because I'm never intending to sell anything. You know, I collect it for the sheer passion and joy of just having that new figure that's like, oh, that's a cool figure. I like that one. It's actually kind of fun when you go and buy them at the shop or whatever, and oh, did you want a special package? And you just tear it open in front of them, and they're like, ah, what are you doing? So you keep all the rubbish. I just want the figure.
It doesn't need to remain in the box. So obviously you've got some box stuff. We've got a lot of loose stuff.
I've got a couple pieces I've kept in the box. I love its presentation, but more often than not, I'm quite eager to just like, hey, let's get it out of the box.
Take it out and play with it.
Especially some of these 6-inch figures that you're referring to, the Black Series, that there's so many points of articulation. It's really cool to be able to pose them and do different things, even like, you know, wrist joints and ankle joints. Awesome action figures.
It's like even the 3 3/4 inch stuff is back to that high quality, super articulation. So it's just nuts. I mean, like, I saw the Luke Jedi the other day. I haven't picked it up yet. Probably will. It's just the face is so beautifully done, and the character and the costume and everything, and all the articulation is like, my God, this thing has gone like the next level. True, we're paying through the arse for them, but I mean, figures here, like a 3 3/4 inch figure, usually is running about $35. $30. Some of them are going for $50. And the Black Series stuff, the 6-inch stuff, seems to hover around 40 to 55, depending on where you can get it from. It's evil. That is a lot of money. So you kind of play the little trade-off game of going, I wonder if I don't buy it now, maybe I'll pick it up secondhand somewhere, and fingers crossed that turns up. So you play a gambling game with some of the ones that aren't so important.
And so you mentioned you started collecting as a youngster. Collectively, how many years has it been that you've been collecting stuff? Since 1977?
45 years in, I suppose. I mean, I was 10 when I started. I got my first one.
Wow.
Yeah, and like I never got any vehicles or anything, so I made all my spaceship vehicles for all the for all the figures to stand and fly around on out of packing polystyrene chunks. So yeah, I had my Imperial Cruiser, which was just like polystyrene foam.
Wow.
It worked. I had a little corner of the laundry where the hot water service was, and I'd made an elaborate Star Wars world in there with little walkways and just out of cardboard and balsa wood and stuff. And it just kept getting bigger and bigger and bigger and getting slowly out further and further into the laundry. So it got to the point, you just hold that back in there. But look, I had endless battles with them, you know, when I was a kid. It was so much fun. It was just the greatest thing ever.
And so you started off in another room and then mentioned that this room that you're in now is the Star Wars room. What else do you have, and how much space does it take up inside the house?
Well, I have a studio space, which is also the toy room, which kind of double works as for two things. And the other room is more a mixture of everything. Every sci-fi, fantasy, movie and TV toy related sort of stuff. So everything from Aliens through to Marvel, through to Predator, through to RoboCop, Thunderbirds, Star Trek, you know, lots of Mad Max stuff. Well, a few bits of Mad Max stuff. And yeah, then I've got some costumes and stuff on display in the garage. And yeah, that's try to contain it mostly to rooms out of the main living area. Although I've got some nice statues and 12-inch dolls and stuff on display in the lounge room. So they did Gentle Giant did a lovely series of animated style Star Wars characters, and oh gosh, they're just delightful. So they get special preference.
And so the items that you have there, from what I can see, are predominantly sitting on shelves. You don't have anything pinned up against the wall or suspended from the ceiling?
Oh yeah, in the room, the ceiling is covered in flying ships and various avatar characters and everything. So it's a good way just to sort of make room for stuff. We go, oh, I'll run out. Okay, I'll just hang some more stuff from the ceiling because it just takes up way less space. Nothing's quite as impressive as the shuttle Didarium, as it just kind of fills up the whole corner with its wings all outstretched.
And the display you mentioned a little bit earlier, these are not secondhand, but you've been able to repurpose something from once before.
Yeah, absolutely. It literally cost me nothing to put together. It was all recycled materials and a bit of granite for a bit of texture, and painted them all up, and Bob's your uncle. I mean, granted, I've got a fair old slab of chunks of random bits and pieces for this very purpose, but yeah, it was just put together out of what I had floating around, and kind of worked pretty well.
And any plans as far as unique lighting or something?
There's always plans. There's all everyone has plans as long as they're on. There's so much stuff I'd love to do. I'd love to really redo the whole thing and just put a bit more attention to detail in it and do something a bit more model-esque, you know, so it looks a little bit more authentic. But you know, time, work, life, everything else, you know, it just some things are going to be pushed to the wayside. But yeah, no, it definitely needs some very cool lighting in there, so you can see further into the display, so you can see all the cool little bits that are set up in there, like Darth Vader serving bar and stuff like that.
And your displays, the arrangement, is it arranged by age, episode, characters, scenes?
I'd say it's organized by scenes. We've got you know, a 1978 Luke hanging out with Dr. Evazan and Pom Barter there, and they're the brand new ones. So I like to mix them up, put the old ones with the new ones, and just see what happens. Just get the juxtaposition of quality between them.
Who built C-3PO? Anakin Skywalker. Did you get the correct answer? Either way, we hope you enjoyed testing your knowledge of all things Star Wars and had fun along the way.
I just want to thank everybody for coming on this journey with me through the naturescape we're creating together. The way you paint a tree is you put paint on your brush and you put that brush on the canvas. How do you know when you're finished? Who's that? Can't mess it up. Trees in the stream a little. Oh boy, I'm dripping. When did I get it on the cabin? Hold on. Okay, we can fix this, folks. There's nothing that you can do that you can't undo later. Tornado. Can't mess it up. Who's that? I didn't like that tree anyway. I went to the Louvre once, dab it, smack it, and some of it looked just like this. Am I still in the frame? Art. I think that says something. You know, that could be something. There's nothing that you can do that you can't undo later. Art, the French invented it. Americans perfected it. I have a masterpiece, not unlike this one. I take it to Collector Alliance. What'd you say? Collector Alliance lets me sell all my paintings, all my toys, all my collectibles with no transaction fees. I want you to smell that paint. For one low monthly subscription, I can sell as much as I want, including gems like this. So check out Collector Alliance today. Hey, who was that?
This is Jack in the Box. We finally get our box back from CAS.
Me? Poetry?
We don't just spread fun through action figures, we get close and personal with the actors that played these characters.
I'm Nick Joseph, and I played Major Aho Extrafon.
You were the one that banged his head in that doorway?
Yes, that's me, yes.
And then they dressed me as a Hoth rebel.
Be sure to subscribe and binge watch all of our episodes. Thanks for tuning in to Jack in the Box.
And do you have the
Actually,
ability
to have some of the modern stuff with some of the vintage stuff? Do you see a size difference when you do that type of thing, or do they all kind of blend pretty well?
Oh, I mean, it was odd. Everything's sort of gone through this little cycle where when they started making them really accurate at one point, the figures seem to shrunk significantly. They seem to be back to the proper scale again. It's like they started making them thinner and more delicate, but then they also got smaller. But then they sort of pumped back up to a good size again. So there is some odd transitions between them. If I ever get around to it and do a proper display for these guys, I'm definitely making a little gym for some of the figures that first came out in '97. They're all muscly, so they have a little workout gym in there with this little loop pumping away with some iron, and they're all getting their pump on.
And do you have the ability of the room to expand your collection?
No. Absolutely. I'm in a situation at the moment where it's Tetris. If something new turns up, it's like, oh my God, where am I going? If I can push this back a little bit and push this up and move this around, and then you go, all right, excellent, I've got a room for that one. So it's getting to the point now, there's just no room left. A suggestion has been made to move upstairs and turn the attic space into a livable space. Someone's very enthusiastic about that, but we'll see how we go.
Now, you had also mentioned when you're buying stuff, you had gone into town to, I forget where you said you went, but is that the only source of where you're buying the stuff from, or where else do you go?
And look, there are so many shops at the moment carrying stock, and all of it is utterly haphazard. There's no consistency in the releasing schedules or anything. So it's just simply kind of luck. Just turn up on random days and just see what's floating around. see who's got a special and see who's got a sale. There's a couple of places. There's a barber shop that calls it. Oh, what was it called again? Oh hell. There's a barber shop in the local shopping centre. There's got a bit of a Star
Tatooine
Wars thing.
haircuts.
No, I can't remember. Oh, if they ever see this, they're gonna hate me. And they actually have some great prices and some interesting selection of figures, which is really odd. I've bought from them a few times, but it's basically just boils down to who's got the best sale, who's got whatever, just these are not cheap things to buy anymore. I mean, once upon a time there were a couple of bucks a head, and that was my pocket money, but now
So
it's like,
it sounds like you're going to retail stores, nothing online there.
I'm not a big online collector. I try and actually stay away from online. My partner has done a superb job of tracking down some very nice pieces through eBay and that otherwise we probably never would have tracked down. But she's very good at surprising me for birthdays and stuff with some of the most outrageously awesome pieces that like I never thought I've never seen them in the wild, let's say. So yeah.
So you obviously are the collector, but assuming Jen is still standing there, bring her in because I'm sure she's part of this whole collection.
She is an instigator. I mean, she's also a lover of Baby Yoda. But she loves like horror stuff and kind of the little odd rarities and stuff. Harley Quinn.
Yes.
So yeah, we kind of share a little overlap, I think, in some of the stuff. But
I'm definitely more tech savvy than him, so I'm able to track down things a little bit better using the internet and yeah.
It's the postage that's nightmarish. I mean, you find something that's like, oh, that's not too bad a price, I'll pay that, and then they want to charge $120 for postage. It's like, yeah, nah, I don't need it that bad. I mean, honestly, I don't need any of this stuff. But at the end of the day, it just makes me incredibly happy. It's just so much fun to, stick your head in the room, have a quick look, see how everything's going, see if anything's fallen over.
We don't question each other when it comes to toy purchases. It's like, okay, we're trying to save money for a holiday, but if you really need to buy this figure, I understand. So we make it work.
And so your collection or collecting disease is what I'll kind of generally call it. Is it obsessive? Is it compulsive? Are you budgeted? Are you under control? Is it out of control?
Not at all. It's just look, if something comes up and it's a must-have, I'll just have it. It's just like, okay, that's like $300-400. Yeah, I think I can swing that. But most of the time, I figure I'm spending probably about the cost of a packet of cigarettes per week. I might skip a couple of weeks, not pick anything up, and find a couple of figures or something. It's certainly not overwhelming. I mean, there are so many lovely statues and stuff I would really love to get. But, I'd rather get like a big bucket full of stuff for the same price as opposed to getting one statue. Although I did pick up the two, what are they? It's not the expanded universe, the imaginary universe that they did from Gentle Giant, sideshow, of Obi-Wan in the full Tatooine kit where he's all backpack and the whole works and the big flying cape, and Boba Fett where he's standing with these 400 guns on top of an rock outcrop. Those two were just choice. Granted, I had just started tattooing and I had more money than sense back then, so I was just like, yeah, I'll buy that. So that was pretty good.
And so aside from yourself enjoying the collection, who else sees your collection?
Well, when my clients come around for a tattoo, part and parcel of coming around for a tattoo is also given the tour and get to see all the different rooms and show them all the different bits and pieces. And it's nerd paradise, basically. It's good fun. And, it's great.
And they enjoy it as well.
Oh, hell yeah. It's really good. I mean, I've got regulars who will come in, every couple of months or so, and they are, like, oh, what's new? What have you got that's new? Can I spot what's new? Oh, I can't. There's too much stuff. So that's always fun. It's like, oh yeah, okay, that's new, that's new.
And so what would you say is your favorite item there?
Okay, my favorite 3 3/4 inch toy is the Tatooine Sand Skift. That thing is just beautiful. And something that means a lot to me, although it doesn't seem to have maintained its value too greatly, but back in '97, I won a trip to America building the best display in Australia for Independence Day. And got a letter from Dean Devlin basically saying, hey, congratulations, you're the best display in Australia. I thought, wow, this is awesome. I had literally just been to a Star Wars convention in Melbourne and met Steve Sansweet for the first time. And we got talking, told him I'd enter this competition. And he said, well, look, if you win, come and stay. I'll take you to Skywalker Ranch and everything. And lo and behold, we won. So he took us to Skywalker Ranch and got to stay with him, and he looked after us. And wow, what an awesome guy! So he's truly a gentleman amongst gentlemen.
Fantastic. So do you have a of all the different movies out there of Star Wars, do you have a favorite?
Okay, it's a thin, it's a wafer thin. If you are looking at the unabridged versions of Star Wars, it's always Empire Strikes Back. For me, it's always been the most adult telling and the most sophisticated of all the Star Wars films. However, there is a little gem floating around in the universe called Star Wars Revisited by a bloke in England called Adwin, which I don't know if you're familiar with or not. Okay, you've got to hunt this down. It is the most superlative version of Star Wars: A New Hope. This guy has taken the Blu-ray version of Star Wars and done a little cleanup, done a few little fixes here and there. Strange moments when laser beams don't quite hit or sound effects occur that have no meaning and stuff like that. Bit of dust removal here and there, a fly removed. But then he's added a few bits of his own special effects. And the quality of these effects are as good as the special edition of Star Wars. And the Battle of the Death Star is just the most insane thing I've ever seen. With his additions, it's just so much kinetic energy going on. When the big reveal of the TIE fighters, with their Omni fighters coming our way, I don't see anything. We get a shot that goes for minutes, and there are just thousands of TIE fighters coming in, and the Imperial theme is blaring, and it's just like every single rebel pilot shits their flight suit at that very point because they know they're in big trouble. And it's just waves and waves and waves of Imperial. Oh my God, it's so good. So I think that's my favorite.
Fantastic. That's great. So I can see you're holding Baby Yoda there. So you're familiar with the Mandalorian. What do you think of the Boba Fett series or the most recent Andor?
It's interesting. We didn't exactly binge watch them. We watched them week to week, which kind of broke up the flow of them a little bit. I liked Boba Fett, but it had its weak points.
A little slow, especially at the beginning.
Yeah, and those bloody mod bike things. Oh my God, that could have ended my love of Star Wars right there and there. It definitely, it wasn't exactly what I wanted. I appreciate the story structure, and it just wasn't quite there. Andor is a different beast altogether. Again, possibly one of the most adult storytellings we've had. And I need to go back and rewatch it, just like start to finish, no interruptions. Just let the story evolve, let it do its thing instead of watching it in spasmodic kind of exhausted sessions at the end of the day as soon as it comes out. I think it's definitely earned it. It's definitely got a good vibe about it. But if there's a clear winner, it's the Mandalorian. My God, that feels like Star Wars. There's no like, oh, it's kind of got a Star Wars vibe to it. Now this has got Star Wars stamped into its DNA. The use of the pre-existing kind of characters and background characters, aliens, vehicles, it's done just right. Those things have been put together in this universe for a reason. There's a reason why these things are so good. You can't redesign them because they've already found the perfect look. And that's the thing about Star Wars I love. It is that universe. It's the way those first 3 films were designed. I don't think there's a foot wrong in terms of production design. The stormtroopers are they're perfection. Those costumes are absolute perfection. Near impossible to walk in or do anything, but perfection. Yeah, look, every ship is beauty. It's just beautiful. There's not an awkward looking, ugly looking ship. No, it's all perfect.
Fantastic. Speaking of awkwardly walking in there, Jack does another series called JAK in the Box. And part of it is he does interviews with some of the original actors. And he did one in particular with the stormtrooper who, when he comes marching in with Darth Vader, bangs his head against that bulkhead in there.
Have they actually found the person who was actually genuinely responsible for that?
Well, this guy, he claims he's responsible for that. His name is Laurie Good. I'll send you a link to that video if you'd like to see it. But he told a story, and at this point, he says he's the guy that banged his head in the original Star Wars movie.
Has he got a certified letter for that? Like a head wound or something?
He's got people that collaborate his story. So.
Oh, that's good. All right. Okay. We can work with that.
And so, kind of in wrapping up things, do you have any advice for other collectors with all of your experience kind of coming forward? And at the same time, give us a little bit of a twist on it, because you're in Australia. Most of us, as well as our viewers, are obviously here in the States. So any thoughts or comments there?
Collect what you love. No, look, collect in any way that you feel like you need to collect. If you want to collect for the value of them, thinking they're going to be worth something in another 10, 20 years, granted, yeah, we've seen some original stuff fly up like crazy. I'm sometimes very tempted to go, oh, maybe if I sell a few boxes, or, I keep the toy, I'll just sell the box. But, I can't bring myself to do it. I've had it since childhood. It's going to hurt too much. But, and collect for the love of it. There's a reason we do it. I know I am so passionate about wanting to capture a little piece of what it meant to me seeing it for the first time. It brings back that joy, and it brings back so many memories of fun fan events. And I've dressed up as so many different Star Wars characters over the years. It's been such an experience. It's so much fun. And being lucky enough to have organized several theming events as well for the movie previews. I mean, that stuff was just the greatest. But yeah, it's just enjoy it, Unfortunately, some stuff's going to be hard to get, but if you ever meant to get it, maybe one day you get lucky and it'll fall in your lap. And I've been fortunate. Some clients have actually gifted me some beautiful pieces. It's like, well, obviously, I don't want it anymore. Have it. It's like, oh my God, this is amazing. But look, there's a kind of an unpleasant vibe that is occurring with people getting angry about things not being done right or whatever in their opinion. But just enjoy it. Don't care about what anybody else thinks. Just enjoy it. It's your vibe. I mean, I can't wait to go back to America and go to Disneyland to Star Wars. Oh my God, I was there in 2018, and we could see the spires beyond the wall. It was like, you mongrels, why aren't you open yet? You're killing me.
I have not been to Disneyland for probably 20 years. So if you happen to come to the States, give me a call. I'll go with you.
Awesome. Outstanding.
I have one last question for Steve. That stripped down 12-inch Boba Fett that the lady gave to you back all those years ago. Do you still have that particular figure?
I don't. I went through several 12-inch Boba Fett's, but every one was an improvement on the subsequent one. So I sort of went, oh, I won't bother keeping. I don't need two, so I'll just get rid of that one and flog it off for $10 or something like that. Now I've got one. Now I've got one with a backpack. Oh, so good. Now I've got one with a cape. Oh, this is even better. So little bit by little bit, like the next one replaced all the bits that were missing from the previous one. So at some point, I got a Boba Fett with all the accessories, and I was like, well, get rid of the others. So. But I still have my original R2D2. That is priceless to me. That means so much. I still remember, being out in the yard and Grandma came around and she was like, "Oh, it's the first one. I didn't even know they were making toys." I mean, just to put it in perspective, like 12 months on from when the film opened, all I had in my possession was one poster book, the 6th volume of the comic with the Death Star attack, and a novelization. That was it. That's all I had. That's all I could use to celebrate Star Wars. And it was like, there's got to be more. I mean, I had cut every single thing I could find out of the newspaper for it. It was just, actually, one thing I've got that I love, I got this crazy photograph of Peter Mayhew and, I'm sorry, not Peter, Anthony Daniels, Kenny Baker, and Dave Prowse. And the three of them are just posing in casual wear. And this is a picture from 1977 from the TV Week. And over the course of 20 years, I got all three actors to finally sign it. And it's just my favorite. None of them remember taking that photograph. But where the hell did this come? I've never seen this photograph before. I really treasure that because that meant a lot. Though Kenny Baker was terrifying. But apart from that, that was good. Although Anthony Daniels is one of the greatest guys I've ever met. Absolute gentleman. He was a real pleasure. So he was special.
Very, very cool.
Yeah, well, fantastic. Steve, I want to thank you so much for participating in this. And from the US to Australia, we just love everything you guys do. And the phrase being happy down under just really applies, especially here with the Star Wars in your collection.
I don't think that phrase means what you think it means.
And also wanted to give a quick little shout out to your tech assistant there, Jen. And thank you very much.
Thank you. You're welcome.
Keeping the whole thing rolling.
Josh, you have anything else to say?
I'll just remind everyone, if you want to continue seeing content like this, go ahead and subscribe to this channel. You can comment down below. Let us know which one of Steve's collections there is one of your favorites, or if you have any questions for Steve, we'll definitely get those answered. Also, Steve, I just want to end with may the force be with you.
And to you as well. The force will be with you always. All right, stay frosty, guys. Woo!